Hey, thank you for joining me for my latest video. So there's a lot happening in this past week. We're talking Brexit, food supply shortages, logistics. Let's not mention other things I've reported throughout the year that out with the logistics might cause the issue. Locusts and the harvest being so low anyway. But yeah, let's go a double whammy with that one. What else has been happening this week? Oh yes, Donald Trump as well. All the pro-lifers must be scratching their head. You were against abortion, but now you're kind of fast-tracking executions of human beings who are prisoners, and yes, have been sentenced to that, but thought pro-life was from conception until natural death. Yeah, you're maybe not into killing the babies, but you're certainly politicising human life. And in the last couple of weeks or so before you're out of office, more likely, that you start just killing prisoners. Pro-lifers must be scratching their head with that one. Let me know what you think. There's been an increase on testing missiles both from America and also from Russia. And it's coming to the point as you're asking, well, the timing with this, with the new presidential election looking as if it's going back to the Democrats, we're more warmongering along the way from the great United States. So yeah, I think it's adversaries as such are getting more prepared for what might be coming in this near future. And also, many are speaking about Pope Francis, one thing or another as per usual. And there's a nativity scene looking as if it's out of something from like Doctor Who. But it doesn't matter what he does, it's always going to be criticised anyway, isn't it? And speaking of the little children, the child, the birth of Christ, the season and all that, his very homeland of Argentina, replicating the same joyous celebration in Ireland like they did about 18 months ago. All the ladies today, as the Abortion Act bill went through its first pass in Argentina, they're all jumping for joy now that they can legally kill their own unborn children. But we don't want to talk about any of that. The subject in this, of course, is December 21st, the Christmas star, where Saturn and Jupiter come together to give off a great light that they're calling the Christmas star. And the question is it the Garabandal Warning? Personally for me, in short, no, it's not. Sorry to disappoint. I could be wrong. Yeah, let's look at what Conchita from Garabandal said. She did, I'm doing all this from memory, but Conchita described it being like two stars coming together. They gave off a lot of light, a lot of noise, and in that moment, God would illuminate every single human being's conscience and what the sign would be in the sky. I think it was a cross and all sorts. And if you look at the photographs of what's actually been predicted to occur for the first time in several hundred years, and more than likely will never be seen again for at least the next several hundred years. So I'm looking forward to at least witnessing it. So December 21st, look up the Christmas star regarding Saturn and Jupiter. But the reason I don't believe it is the Garabandal Warning, as many people are starting to ask, is because what's the context of happening round about the time? It's when things are at their worst, it's when things are really bad, when communism returns. We're not there yet. We're talking about a brief, sudden and unexpected war. It'll be very bad for Europe especially. We're talking nations against nations. We're talking a great persecution of the Catholic Church. These things haven't happened yet. Although 2020 is a year of the precursors as well as the year of possibilities. And if something does kick off between today and December 21st of this year of 2020, then yeah, it might just be, but that's a lot to think of. Yeah, we're seeing the warm-up of the testing of intercontinental missiles. We're seeing the nuclear deterrent missiles, the nuclear shields. We're seeing all these different things getting tested from different countries, from America to Russia. Yeah, we're speaking about the domino effect of Brexit fulfilling the prophecies of Europe falling apart again, and then once they're all apart, it'll be the case of who owes who money, which, you look back at the 2007 recession, Germany put a lot of money into it, bail out Greece as well as other ones, and then of course if it's a no deal, it's not looking too good for Britain. But yeah, maybe one after another, depending. So time will tell. Will that fulfil the prophecy of Europe, the European Union falling apart one by one? So yeah, there's still a lot of things to fit the criteria before the Garabandal warning does come. But like I say, this is the year of the precursors. We've seen the Pope himself walking along during lockdown through the city of Rome, through the Vatican City the night he gave his special blessing, walking up the Vatican Hill to the wooden cross. It did make you think just a little bit of the stuff from the Fatima vision is described, although there's much more context in that. And I'm going to cover a couple of videos with the Fatima vision and the messages of other apparitions to see how it still fits. Lockdown itself has been a precursor where it's an opportunity where we can actually focus, reset, and actually correct our conscience, have an illumination to think of what is important, what's not during this time of eerie death that may have came across with the fear of this pandemic. And I believe Conchita actually gave a message which was posted on a couple of the Facebook groups, including my own, for you to join. Remember, Marine Apparitions on Facebook. We're now up nearly to 11,000 members, and most of them have came this year. So yeah, Mother Mary's gathering it, so make sure you click on the link below in the description box to get you onto the Marine Apparitions Facebook page. If that miracle's getting announced of Garabandal, if those secrets of Medjugorje are getting announced, it will be on that page, so get on it. One last thing I will say regarding the Christmas star. You know that way you arrange to go and meet up with a friend, colleague that you haven't seen for months and months? I take up the homemade curry, he makes the pizza, this is what we're into, we have a beer out in the garden, keeping the distance of course, and night time comes, we've got the little fire going in the oven, we're sitting in the garden, we see the stars, and yes, of course he studies astrophysics. So he starts pointing out the planets, he starts pointing out the sky, he starts pointing out all these different things. And it leads to the point where he actually speaks about the Mayan calendar. And I ain't ever been interested in it whatsoever. But he being the great intellect that he has, and he says it was just something I came across, I looked into it. And the Mayan calendar, everyone says ended in 2012. He says that's not true. He says if you actually take in the calendar, and I'm trying to remember how he explains it, we're now in the Julian calendar, so if you had to compare the both and the way they measured the cycles of the earth or the time or what their own calendar, it's like every date or every cycle may have been worth a minute or 5 minutes or an hour of our calendar as such. And then when you add up the differences from that all going, it actually takes you to December 21st, 2020, which is when the Mayan calendar ends. Now he tells me this about 6 weeks ago or so, and then a few weeks later we start hearing about the Christmas star of December 21st, 2020, and you're like, okay, what's that? Then it's described about the planets coming together, giving off a great big bit of light. You're thinking Garabandal. But let's look a little bit more into the Garabandal warning. I mean, such timing, is it not? I personally think, to put it in a nutshell, things are heating up. It's going back to the frog in the pot, turning up the burner more and more and more, and you just stay in it until you burst. There's just more and more happening. It's the year of opinions, it's the year of division and uprising, the year of anger spilling over into areas that have nothing to do with it, and I think especially the Catholic Church has been targeted a lot with that. We're speaking about the signs, the fact that more and more now missiles are being tested, shield missiles, and what was once a nuclear deterrent may no longer be a deterrent because they have missiles to knock the incoming nuclear warhead away. So that might put in more of the idea the battle stations are, and especially with the Democrats being put back in power. Trump was never a warmonger, and I think now with the Democrats coming in, this is where it's going to heat up again. We're back to where it was with Obama and Clinton and the possibilities thereafter. So yeah, keep praying. I'm a little, I feel a little good because yesterday I had a good talk with my spiritual director for over an hour, point a couple of things out, things like that. So I was thinking about maybe another video or two about, the problem with Pope Francis and his opposers, critics, enemies. Thinking about that. I'm thinking about quite a few comments coming through now against Medjugorje, and I do like the good interaction, folks, so please get your comments coming. Feel free to share your opinion, your belief, all in a good, mannerable way, friendly way, of course. But there's quite a lot of speaking about, they're all for Garabandal, or they believe in Akita, or Fatima, or two or three of them. But when it comes to Medjugorje, they don't seem to believe it, but you can't seem to get an answer from them as to why. So I think it's coming to about time where maybe I do a video for Medjugorje and why I believe in it. Yeah, you'll see some links to the videos in this channel where I've done one of Medjugorje, the story. I've done one of the pilgrimage to Medjugorje. And the recent one last week, just sitting in Apparition Hill. The sense of peace just being there. But if I personally can't understand people that can't connect Medjugorje to Fatima, Akita or Garabandal. A couple others you could put in there as well, but this century is leading up, and I think this goal of 2030 for the climate change and for all this other pre-pandemic plans that can now be accelerated and the Great Reset and everything else for 2030 should stand out to you. The fact that by 2029 was the 100th year where she did come back to Lucia in 1929, June 13th, and asked for then the consecration of Russia. Now we're speaking, everyone keeps thinking about Russia, but yeah, let's remember the Great Apostasy. Let's remember there's more to it than just the Russia side, but the signs are there. The sign, even just look at Russia Today this week on YouTube, the community pictures and the news articles. There's a lot more happening. It's building up and building up, and I think people are at least half clued up, are starting to realise more and more the signs are there. But you know something? I'm just praying. I'm fasting. I feel great the last 2.5, 3 weeks especially. I've pulled the socks back up a little bit more. Turn off that Facebook. Turn off the TV. Just watch YouTube. At least good stuff. And yeah, makes it all the better. I'm starting to go off on a tangent now. As you can tell, it's completely unscripted. But give me your comments below. What do you think's happening? There's a lot of things going on right now, and I think 2021... no normality's cut. Why would you want normality the way it was from up until the pandemic? But I think the button's been hit now. It's going to be rolling over, rolling over, rolling over. And yeah, best be prepared for sure. So hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up, leave your comments below. Remember to check out the Facebook group if you're into it, Marian Apparitions. You'll find it there, and we'll look to accept you onto that. And yeah, let's keep building the community. Don't fear, have no fear, keep the hope, keep the good life, and I'll see you in the next video.